Roméo Dallaire was born on June 25, 1946, in Dennekamp, Netherlands, to Roméo Louis Dallaire, a Canadian non-commissioned officer, and Catherine Vermeysen, a Dutch nurse. He came to Canada at 6 months old and spent his childhood in Montreal. At a young age, Dallaire got involved with Scouts Canada, which operated out of the English Protestant school, although he was French and devoutly Catholic. In his words, "This did not make life easy for me. I remember my sister Juliette, only 5 or 6, being caught in a crossfire of rock throwing between French and English gangs in our back alley. My francophone friends and I rescued her. She was cut and bleeding from the back of her head, and we lifted her to safety over a fence. We then launched a counterattack that sent the Anglos scurrying into a tar paper shed, which we proceeded to set on fire. In the next encounter, I found myself in the Anglo ranks. So it went, back and forth." He attended a series of military schools, rapidly rising through the ranks, despite the difficulty faced by many French Canadians trying to begin a military career. He is highly decorated, but he is most well known for his involvement in the Rwandan genocide. General Dallaire considers his peacekeeping mission in Rwanda to be a complete and utter failure, because after a 100-day reign of terror, some 800,000 civilians lay dead in the streets. However, this was through no fault of his own, nor for lack of trying. He had sounded the alarm, he'd pleaded, he'd begged, he'd gone so far as to disobey UN orders to withdraw. Given only 2,600 troops, he was appointed to oversee a peace accord between the region's two main groups, the Hutus and the Tutsis. As the situation worsened, Washington called for a complete withdrawal of peacekeepers. On April 21, 1994, the U.S. agreed to a limited force and fully supported the decision to cut the force to a mere 270 peacekeepers. He was given scant resources to work with. We had less than 3 days' water, rations, and fuel. We had no defensive stores, no spare parts, no night vision equipment, and severe shortages of radios and vehicles. Staff officers worked on their bellies on the floor because there were so few desks and chairs. Still, his resourcefulness enabled them to maintain safe areas for over 20,000 terrorized Rwandans. As a result of the horrors he witnessed on his mission, Dallaire now suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. He says, "Rwanda will never ever leave me. It's in the pores of my body. My soul is in those hills. My spirit is with the spirits of all those people who were slaughtered and killed that I know of, and many that I didn't know. 50 to 60,000 people, walking in the rain and the mud to escape being killed, and seeing a person there beside the road dying. We saw lots of them dying, and lots of those eyes still haunt me. Angry eyes or innocent eyes, no laughing eyes. But the worst eyes that haunt me are the eyes of those people who were totally bewildered. They're looking at me with my blue beret and they're saying, 'What in the hell happened? We were moving towards peace. You were there as the guarantor of the mandate. How come I'm dying here?' He is continually haunted by thoughts of Rwanda. He is plagued with nightmares. Memories come alive. Very little light penetrated the gloom, but as my eyes became accustomed to the dark, I saw strewn around the living room in a rough circle the decayed bodies of a man, a woman, and 2 children, stark white bone poking through the desiccated leather-like covering that had once been skin. The little boy was crouched beside what was left of his mother, still sucking on his biscuit. I made my way over to him as slowly and quietly as I could, and lifting him into my arms, carried him out of the hut. Worst of all, after all he'd experienced, engraved still in his brain is the judgment of a small group of bureaucrats who came to assess the situation in the first few weeks of the genocide. "We will recommend to our government not to intervene, as the risks are high, and all that is here are humans." When he returned to Canada from the Rwanda mission, General Dallaire attempted suicide on more than one occasion. In 2000, he was found passed out drunk under a park bench in Hull, Quebec. Because of his difficulties, Senator Dallaire has spent his retirement from the military working to bring an understanding of post-traumatic stress disorder to the general public. He has lectured at Canadian and American universities, written several articles on human rights, and is now writing a novel on the subject of child soldiers. In 1996, he was made an officer of the Legion of Merit of the United States. He was declared Officer of the Order of Canada in 2002, Grand Officer of the National Order of Quebec in 2005, and was awarded the 25th Pearson Peace Medal. In addition, he was selected as one of the 8 Olympic flag bearers at the opening ceremony for the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver, BC. 7 years after the genocide, Dallaire was finally able to begin his novel, Shake Hands with the Devil. 3 years later, it was finally published. He begins by saying, "This book is nothing more or less than the account of a few humans who were entrusted with the role of helping others taste the fruits of peace. Instead, we watched as the devil took control of paradise on earth and fed on the blood of the people we were supposed to protect." It has since been adapted into a movie and a documentary.